back with the what I think is the last session of the current review today. We are going full political now. We're being joined by a young Mbokodo, the spokesperson of the ANC Women's League in the province of the Freestate. Her name is Kelebogile Thulo. I am still Thamsanqa Tu, otherwise known as TT. I am with my brother Tebogo Kotsi from the Unsaid Podcast.
Yes, sir.
And just said we are with Kelebogile Thulo. Hi, Kelebogile.
Hi, Bratiti. Thank you very much for this platform. Thank you for inviting the ANC Women's League. Finally, I don't know what took so long, but here we are today. We really appreciated the invitation, and thank you for this great platform, which seeks to, make sure that as people of Free State, we interact on this platform and share on different topics and all of that. Thank you for having us today.
You know what I would say finally for? I would say finally there are some young people inside the ANC Women's League.
There's always been young people in the Women's League.
But more representation was Abomagoko. So
I was about to say that. I was about to say it's nice to say, there's that saying, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train, it's a young person. And you get to see it, especially in the Women's League. And wearing Isapa, I know, it shows.
But you know what it worries me for? Maybe it's not really a worry, but something that I am observing, that with the emergence of young women in the ANC Women's League, the young women's desk is no longer there. Is that a correct observation?
Thank you for that question. I don't think that is true. I think we must understand why we have the ANC Women's League Young Women Desk. Firstly, the constitution of the ANC Women's League says any woman who is 18 can become a member of the ANC Women's League. But first, you must be the member of the ANC. And the ANC Young Men Desk came as a resolution of the ANC Women's League National Conference in 2003 to say that the ANC Women's League needs to build a second layer of leadership to ensure that the baton is given to the younger ones, so that we don't have issues of leadership posed after every conference. And with all the changing political dynamics and landscape, you have to have some sort of a vision in terms of where you want to take the organization. So that is how the ANC Women's League Young Men Desk came about, to say that let us ensure that young women become part of the organization, but not just part, but they're also given responsibilities, but they're also groomed and trained movement at simply. But as things happened, they didn't. It was but the ANC Women's League, came with it and actually implemented the ANC Women's League Young Men Desk. So the ANC Women's League Young Men Desk is still there. And as we speak today, there's a process of the concept document review of the ANC Women's League Young Men Desk to ensure that it speaks to what the ANC Women's League is trying to achieve. But at the end of the day, remember the ANC Women's League Young Men Desk is not the league of the ANC Youth League, nor is it a constitutional structure, but it is a subcommittee which is entrusted with mobilizing young women to ensure that they become part of the ANC and the ANC Women's League.
But is it correct to assume that because there wasn't a greater participation of young women in the ANC Women's League, now the Young Women's Desk was formulated to make it look stylish, to make it look attractive, sexy, amapiano kind of vibe for the young women. Now I'm assuming that once we have like a greater participation of young women in the ANC Women's League, like yourselves, the necessity for the Young Women's Desk may not be as necessary anymore. And Debza, I know that I have sort of moved away from our initial script here, but I just found this piece a bit fascinating. Is it something that was designed to dissipate with progress of time once you get the required participation of young women in the Women's League?
Correctly. I agree with you to a certain extent, but remember, the Women's League is not an organization for old people, as other people may assume. I mean, from history, if you check history, how young, we can speak about the current provincial chair, Mekoni, when she led the Women's League then, when we still had the North and the South region. They were in their 20s, their 30s. So the issue that we're having now is that technology was not so advanced compared to as now, where you knew of these people. And that's where Kelebogile, come in, because there's technology now, oh, there's that young woman there. But she's not the first one to ever be in this platform or be given bigger responsibilities in the organization. We can speak of many women who led the ANC Women's League at a very young age, So it's always been about social media and the advancement of technology to ensure that people are aware of these issues and what is happening on the ground. And if you follow the history of the ANC Women's League, you will know where all these issues features from. But the ANC Women's League Young Men Desk, it would be disingenuous of us to think of it as a subcommittee of the Women's League that is there for making the Women's League look sexy, and all of those things, because already then we're stigmatizing it, which is problematic on its own. Because we cannot just, when you speak about the Women's League Young Men Desk, we think of sexiness and that is it. We must think about the Women's League Young Men Desk beyond that, to say, okay, what are these young women offering for the organization? What are they doing in their communities? How can we help them to ensure that all these daily tasks of leading and organizing other young women in their communities and ensuring that there's a full participation of young women where they come from in contemporary politics of South Africa has been shown out there, to ensure that everyone knows of these things. That's how we must think of the ANC Women's League Young Women Desk. And yes, maybe we can give them compliment, of course. But if you remember, the ANC Women's League Young Women Desk, or the ANC Women's League as a structured organization, has always been led by very respectful, elegant, classy Abu Mama who'd still rock and still look lovely. Even today, when you look at them, you look at their, earlier pictures and the 1956 March when Abu Mama, Lilian Goy, I'm a figure belt, it has always been, the Women's League has always been an organization of women, Abu Mama, Mama who look good and who ensure that wherever they are, they look stylish. So really, it's not a new thing. It has always been there. Yes. Thank you very much.
I could continue with that topic, especially about stylish, but it's another topic for another day. I want to bring it back a bit. The Women's League launched the Winnie Mandela Volunteers Programme the other day. So what is the idea behind such a volunteer program? Because we've seen in the past volunteer programs being launched, promises being made, especially to the unemployed people. I'm going to focus on women right now, to the unemployed women. And come the opportunity now where things are going right, you guys have won. And those women, they come back and complain how they're not being given the opportunity. So what makes this new volunteer program different?
Thank you for that question. I think what makes the Winnie Mandela Volunteer Program different is that, I'm not speaking of anyone here, we're speaking about Mama Winnie, that fighter, that person you say, this is not going, this is how things must be done. So in that spirit, in the same mode that Mama Winnie Mandela, we're talking about the former president of the ANC Women's League, we're not just talking about anyone else from the street here. So this program is different because we are saying that the ANC Women's League, when we were the Treasurer General, Mema Queen, addressed the volunteers, that she made it very clear that in the Freestate, we are saying that in the voters or people that are registered to vote, 55% of them are women. So we are also calling to say that in the procurement sector, in the employment sector, deployment, appointment, wherever that we're going to find ourselves as the organization, the ANC, that is no longer 50% now. The number must represent the quota. I'd say the quota must represent the number of the people that are there, that the majority must be considered. In this case, we're no longer calling for 50% anymore. We're saying if that 55% voters are women, of whom we know that they're going to carry these elections for the African National Congress, as it has always been the case, that 55% of them must form part of the ESCOs, 55% of them must form part of senior managers' positions, 55% of them must be part of any project that is there, that seeks to, if it's a service delivery project at a location or one ward in Kasi, 55% must be women who are going to benefit from such. So that is what is making Mama Winnie Volunteer Brigades program very, very different from any other program. We are no longer calling for 50%. We are calling for what is true to us, which is 55% plus as women and as voters in this country.
And for the volunteer program that we have now, what specific activities or initiatives are planned for this program?
Okay. As we all know that Mama Winnie, outside of being an activist and revolutionary, Mama Winnie was also a community person. She ensured that wherever she was, the community that she lived in, benefited a lot in the projects that she started. We can talk about the Winnie Mandela town, formerly known as Banford, where she opened a crèche there. There was also a clinic in her yard and all of that. So what we are saying to our volunteers of the ANC Women's League is that let us go out in our different communities. Let us emulate that spirit wherever you are. That's why we call ourselves. We wear these aprons that are written Molo Makela. I'm saying that I must know Abdi my neighbor. What does he do for a living? What challenges does he have? How many are they in the household? How do we ensure that maybe if Bratiti is not working as a volunteer, how do we start projects in our communities, in our street? Maybe soup kitchen projects that will be run on weekly basis. Let us assist students with applications to enter institutions of Harlem. Whatever that is you can do with your time voluntarily to ensure that someone else's life is better because of you. That's what we're trying to emulate. So those are the projects that we are going to have, but everything will be outlined in our formal statement and our formal social media platforms as the ANC Women's League Freestate. So people must watch out. It's going to be a very busy time for us as the ANC Women's League, but not just for elections. These projects are gonna be part of us. We want to leave this legacy to say that Mama Winnie has left us something. Let us continue with this legacy and ensure that it doesn't end here, but it continues for more generations to come to be part of these nice programs.
Kele, quick one. Do you believe, what's your take when it comes to the strength of women vocally, especially in the province? Because we've seen in the past that Women's League will be leading marches, protests, everything, but they will always be excluded. How vocally are you guys in terms of what you guys want to achieve?
We're very vocal about it. The marches, we're very vocal. If you've been following us on social media, on many platforms, but remember, vocalism, it doesn't end on you writing statements and social media, starting campaigns and all of that. Also, in the boardrooms where the decisions are taken, that's where we also test your strength as an organization. Okay, here you are saying this, but also is this happening in the boardroom? I mean, a lot has happened. We have won many battles, we have lost many battles as well, but we are not stopping there. We are very vocal, and I can promise you now that a lot has happened. Look what happened when in Freestate alone. I think Freestate has had more women premiers than any other province in the country. True. That should tell the strength of the ANC Women's League in this province. As we speak now, we have more than 60% of executive council members, though, are also women, and the speaker and the deputy speaker in the provincial legislature. Also, we can speak about senior manager positions. We have HODs now. Few of them have been appointed are women for roles, also human settlement. A lot is happening, where it needs to happen. It's not just, doesn't only end on social media, but where these decisions are taken, that is also where we are found. And I can promise you now, these are the battles that have been won by the Instruments League to ensure that that we achieve our constitutional mandate, which is one of them is that we must ensure that women are represented in all spheres and sectors of the society.
Let me throw a curveball again, another curveball. Winnie Mandela was known for her rebellious aggression in terms of fighting for that freedom and being vocal. Ne? Now, there's a huge gap. You are a young person and your leadership is an older generation. You spoke about technology earlier. Well, the nicest thing, technology is making life super simple. But we've noticed with the older generation that there's lack of understanding in terms of how times are moving, and it's a bit tricky for them to catch up with the current times due to the fact that we know it's the era of AMA 2000. How are you guys planning to bridge that gap between the younger generation that are more vocal and aggressive compared to Abo Mama, Baba stylish and quiet that wants things done their way? How are you turning to balance that?
Thank you for that question. This is where now the ANC Women's League Young Women Desk comes in. You have this structure, the subcommittee that ensures that we bridge the gap between the two. That there is the younger generation, there's also senior generation in the Instruments League or the Congress movement in its entirety. But remember, youth is a strata in transit. As a young person, you are bound to be energetic, you are bound to be creative, you are bound to have all these ideas. But it doesn't necessarily mean that all of these ideas, all of them will work on all of that. That's why we also have senior comrades, which ensures in the movement that experience is also coupled with that energy, is also coupled with that radicalism, so that this revolution that you're trying to drive as younger generation is guided. Because unguided revolution will never yield positive results. At the end of the day, it will be disastrous, and we will not get what we intend to, will not achieve what we intended to, set out to achieve. So it is very important that this energy, you don't necessarily put it down. You guide it correctly so that it gives you the results that you want. That's why you have younger generations now in the ANC or the Congress movement at large. You have younger generation, your recent graduates of the ANC Youth League who are entrusted with bigger responsibilities. They are now head of elections, they are organizers in regions, provinces. They are now regional secretaries of the ANC, regional chairpersons, all of these things to ensure that, we achieve what we are set to achieve. So that is how we are going to bridge the gap. We need each other at the end of the day. Trust me, as a young person, there are things that we don't know that we must still learn from the senior generation. But yes, definitely there are those, tug of wars in here and there. Not because there are issues that are, that are deep that cannot be resolved, but because of how we see things, definitely we'll see them differently. It's bound to happen.
So, the volunteers that were recruited, in terms of ratio-wise, who dominates? Is it the older generation and the younger generation? Because we've seen in the past that young people are becoming they're losing interest when it comes to politics, and they seek opportunities and they're doing stuff for themselves. So who have you recruited, or who are you targeting to recruit, ratio-wise?
With the Winnie Mandela, Mama Winnie was a young woman at some point. Obviously, we want young women who are recruiting, young women, senior women in the movement, and outside. Everyone who was part of this volunteer program, most definitely, people in different sectors of society, or young professionals. We're also looking into students there. You're also looking at, church-based organization, Abu Mama, Basiaparo, and all of those things. Because Mama Winnie was, was one person, but she did a lot of things.
True. That's true.
Yes, she was in church. She was a community member. She was an activist. She was a leader. She was also a professional. She went to school and so you have all this woman who has everything to everyone. So that is also our target. We're not excluding anyone. Any woman out there is a potential Mama Winnie volunteer, and we need to work together to realize Mama Winnie as ideas and ensure that her legacy lives on.
I'm gonna throw a tough question now, and I hope I get an answer. Will you guys be able to keep your promises to the volunteers that you are making to them?
Definitely.
All of them?
Yes, I'll speak on behalf of the ANC Women's League. We even took a pledge. We have 8 points on the pledge, which, ultimately describes who we are as Mama Winnie volunteers and what we're going to do and what we're going to. So it's upon the people of South Africa or women in general to say, the ANC Women's League, you said this according to your pledge. Why are you not doing this? But also, for us to be held accountable, we cannot hold ourselves accountable. That is why we need people outside to come and be part of this program, so that when they are there, every woman is there to say, but Comrade Gele, the ANC Women's League said this, why are you guys not doing this? This is wrong. So the pledge is there to ensure that none of us goes out of line in terms of what we are pledging as Mama Winnie volunteers.
Now, on the volunteer program, is it an elections program which is going to be focused on mobilizing voters to vote for the ANC in the upcoming national provincial elections, or will it live beyond the elections and actually live in the communities for progress and development of the communities themselves?
It's going to live beyond the elections. It's going to live beyond elections, but as with any election campaigns, any organization comes up with its own programs that are going, when you go out there and mobilize voters from our communities. Of course, there are hashtags that people will use, to ensure that, their election machinery in terms of social media gains traction and all of those things. So this one is going to live beyond, because as I said, Mama Winnie is the former president of the ANC Women's League. And for the previous years, we have said that we are still going to, give her the honor that she deserves until forever. Because at the end of the day, outside of her being a member of the ANC, she was the president of the ANC. So this program is going to live beyond elections, and we're going to carry out with this mandate of making sure that in the communities where we reside, we're doing something for the less privileged.
But it is essentially an elections program.
And when we launched it, yes, it was to ensure that our elections machinery is ready and that we're committing ourselves as the ANC Women's League and women in general, that we're going to ensure that we go out and vote in our numbers.
You spoke about 8 points that like an 8-point plan or something like that, about, on this particular program. Do you care to mention what those 8 points are?
Yes, it is the pledge. You can still see me, right?
The pledge, yeah.
Okay.
But we prefer to see the other way.
So the first point on the pledge is that we pledge to serve as ambassadors of the ANC's principles, which is to promote the core values of equality, justice, freedom, and non-racialism and non-sexism. As we all know, those are the core principles of the ANC. But also is number one. I'm just summarizing, or should I go deeper into this?
No, yes. You can do a summary. It's cool.
Yes. And the second one, we do pledge that we'll actively engage with individuals, as I've mentioned, communities and organizations, establishing, those meaningful connections and fostering open dialogue to say that what is it that the ANC Women's League can do to ensure that, as an organization, we better ourselves, we better our outlook, and how do people see us out there? How do they look at us? And what are those things that we can change? And what are those that, people can say, no, but the ANC Women's League is doing right in this, instance. So that is number 2 in terms of our pledge. But the third point on our pledge is that we're going to, dedicate our time and ensuring that we participate in voter education and registration drives. As I've said, that 55% of our population, of our registered people, are women. So we're going to ensure that the ANC Women's League, we carry these elections with other women in different sectors of our society, and to ensure that we take out these voter registration programs to, also educate the young ones about the importance of voting and all of those things. Yes, we know that others may think, there's no need to vote, and there is a serious need to vote. I think with the current coalition governments and everything, that should tell us the importance of voting, so that we don't, find ourselves one or the other in a very quagmire situation when it comes to the results of elections. So it's very important that every one of us goes out there and we actually vote. That is the third point on our pledge. And the fourth one,
maybe let's make the fourth one the last one.
Okay.
So you can decide on the 5 remaining which one you want to make the last one to mention.
Okay. Yeah. So and also the fourth one is that we do pledge our time and efforts to mobilize the support for the ANC. As I said, that for you to become a member of the ANC Women's League, you must be the member of the ANC first, and that is in our constitution. That is, to ensure that we are going to engage in door-to-door campaigns, community meetings, and public events, making sure that we mobilize and lobby people to vote for the African National Congress in the 2024 general elections.
Now let's just talk about one more thing just before you come in, Thamsanqa. We had a very nice discussion with Kele. The ANC Youth League, they previously said to us, we spoke to them at one point, and they said that they maybe before I get to that point, let me ask you, the ANC Women's League is known to support other women, being discriminated against or not being supported, and all, and so on and so on. Now there is a resignation that came as a result of an allegation against Tebogo Kotsi. What is the ANC Women's League in the Freestate saying about the charges against Tebogo Kotsi and her subsequent resignation?
I think I'm saying this again. We are members of the ANC before we are members of the ANC Women's League. And the 54th conference of the ANC took a resolution on a step aside as a way for the organization, to deal with issues of corruption, issues of, image. We're saying that we're cleaning ourselves as an organization, and particularly as leaders of the movement and employees in different sectors of spheres of government, to ensure that the brand ANC stays clean, because at some point, people will say, no, this ANC is corrupt, and all of those things, and all of those things. So the ANC Women's League, we deliberated on the matter. And democratic centralism teaches us that once the mother body has spoken, or the higher structure has spoken, then therefore everyone else rallies behind that, respect the decision of the mother body and do as such. Because the mistake that we will not make is to genderize the matter and say, because, maybe Komotidi is a woman, this one is a man. No. It's a matter of being a member of the African National Congress, subscribing to the policy positions of the movement, the resolutions and everything. Even when you take the oath, it specifically tells us what, as a member, you must adhere to, what you must do and what you must not do. So the ANC has spoken on the matter, and as such, we follow the line and say that this is the line that the ANC has spoken. But we still apply the rule of the law that every one of us is innocent until they are declared not innocent by the court of law. So we're saying that, Komotidi has a right, like any one of us, to go and prove herself in a court of law to say on the charges that she's been charged on. And the ANC government, nor the ANC members, nor the ANC Women's League members will go out there in their blouses with placards written hand off or not. No, we don't do that. Community. What we are saying is that everyone must go and make sure that they clarify their issues where possible and say that I didn't do this or I did this, and then they can claim their name. So the Instruments League.
Yeah, it's a very long answer, and we get it. We hear you. But now
context
it made you almost very uncomfortable, I could say.
No, I'm not uncomfortable. These questions, we're expecting them, but we're members of the ANC. Yes, at the end of the day.
So the ANC Youth League was saying to us that after their PEC, PWC meetings, had a recommendation that one of their own, who is also a member of the ANC Women's League, Kelebogile Thulo, must become the member of the executive, replacing Tshidi Koloi. Now, I want to hear from you. What is the view of two entities? One, the ANC Women's League. Two, Kelebogile Thulo.
The ANC Women's League, once it has deliberated on the matter, definitely you will know. As I said, we will share the media advisory as we always do, and you will get it there. But secondly, the ANC
we are a media, so you can tell us directly. We don't have to go and read the media. You are speaking to the media now.
Yes, I am speaking to the media, but once all the processes have been dealt with, definitely will know what is our stance regarding that matter. But secondly, I think the other point that is very important that we should understand is that the ANC Youth League, as a constitutional structure, can take decisions on its own. Doesn't have to consult with anyone, and they can lobby for any position that they think is good. They can lobby for as a constitutional structure on their own. And I don't want to comment much because I did not come here on the mandate of the ANC Youth League. I came here on the mandate of the ANC Women's League. But as a structure, they have the right to lobby for their preferred candidates as well. It is allowed.
Okay. And Kelebogile Thulo?
What about Kelebogile Thulo?
All right. I think we shall sidestep that one. And then
I have a question for Kelebogile Thulo.
I know you do.
Mine is quite simple. How are you, as the Women's League, planning to capture? No, let me not use the word capture. How are you planning to attract and get these young 2,000, we call them bottle girls, to leave their champagnes and come and vote in next year's election, because they seem not to show interest? So what is the plan in terms of capturing that particular market? How are you going to do it? I want to hear this one.
We are here. We go where they go. There's this assumption that maybe as Women's League, we are uptight organization, There's no such, actually. We are found there. I'm myself a young person. We have the provincial secretary, who's a recent graduate of the ANC Women's League as well, the provincial treasurer, So we are there. We are also young. They're also young in some point. They understand this terrain. They also led the youth league. So we are there. And I'm glad, but, in passing, to do beyond the official statements of the NEC of the Women's League, to say that we have a program that is going to deal with attracting the champagne girls, the bottle girls, to say that we're part of you. So don't be shocked when you see me there somewhere where young people are gathered at the league with,
But Kele, I don't see you in a open dress on the side, holding a champagne, popping Hablis on a night outing. I don't see you in that state. I'm talking about girls that are out here, image, Facebook, Instagram, it's the life. I'm talking about that specific mind. Influencers, they want money to post. If they want to share something on the timeline, they want money. So how are you planning to capture those ones? That's where I'm putting my eye on it.
No, you'll see. We are going to capture them nicely. We've done it as the Instruments League in 2019. If you remember 2019, the Instruments League and the Young Mentors carried the 2019 elections. It was that time where the Youth League at that point was still some issues, with the tax teams and all of those things. So we carried those elections. We're still gonna carry these ones. Easy. We are going to enter those clubs. We are going to be there with them. If needs be, they need us to carry the bottles with them. Easy, we can do that. But we'll be there with them. We'll be there with them. But it doesn't mean that now we have to smoke happily and all of that. I think those are personal choices, and how people dress also. It's personal choices and preferences. But we will be there with them, whatever it is that they do. In actual fact, it also gives us a space, as we said in our pledge, to say that we need an open dialogue with everyone. That's why we're saying we understand what is that women are expecting from the ANC Women's League. Yes, it will give us that chance to also reflect on that.
Thank you very much, Kelebogile Thulo. It's been a pleasure, and Debza, you are right. I think we need to see more. I think not that we, but the ANC and the ANC Women's League, the Youth League, they would like to see everybody in society, drifting towards them and so on. And the clubs, the taverns, the soccer fields, the churches, and everywhere else is where you'll find these people. And there is a spot, which is called TT African Vibes. There, I want to see more of these ANC Women's League, Young Women's Desk people that.
Where?
It's somewhere in Paris. We'll let you know. We'll send you a text to say bring your people, come spend some money there.
No, not money. We'll be there to campaign for African National Congress. We'll be there to register people online. We are going to be everywhere. Lou and I'll come and register. If umama sekhaya khona, if ukhona umama sekhaya, naye ngizomregister. I'll knock at your door to say, hey, are you registered to vote? Come, let me register you. So we are going to be everywhere.
Tell me, before we let go, Kelly, I know time is not on our side, but I just want to ask you one thing. Are all your women leaders that are in government right now, are they accessible? Because it has come to my attention that none of your members we can't hold of. For us to get hold of them, it's a mission and a half. So you as the spokesperson, how are you making sure that we get access to these people?
I don't think that is true.
It is true. I'm talking from experience here.
Okay.
I'm talking from experience.
Would have to check it out, but I can promise you now that my political principal is MEC Khadija Brown. You can get hold of her at any time, on a personal number even.
Yeah, we spoke to her last week.
Yes, MEC, the TG of the Instruments League, Mema, my queen, she's all over. You can get over. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know maybe there are those, but it's highly unlikely because as the members of society, we are very, very accessible. Even myself can access me at any time of the day, of the night, so that's what I'm saying. Maybe there are those cases that are there, but I don't think that is not the whole shame.
We'll try again.
Try again and let me know.
I'll let you know.
Yes, because Labo Mama are very, very, very accessible. And even those that are deployed in government, they're always with us, I've never seen the VIP protectors giving people a hard time and all of those. And of course, they have to do their work as the VIP protectors and all of that. But I've never seen them, intentionally give anyone a hard time when they want to speak to their leaders.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Kelly, thank you very much, man. It's been a pleasure. It's been great.
Thank you, Batiti. I'll come greet your wife there. Tell her that the Instruments League is coming.
I don't know why you're pushing this narrative about a wife there, but maybe it's about time, maybe it's about time. But yeah, thank you very much, man. It will be great to engage with you in the future again. And all the
thank
best
you very
with
much for
the
having us.
volunteers program.
Thank you very much for having the Women's League for the first time ever. Aibo, thank you.
Aibo.
Aibo.
We're out. Thank you.